How's that?
Look at that. See? Look, you taught me something, right? You're the 9-year-old in this situation.
I'm happy to help.
Is it humbling to have your 9-year-old be smarter than you?
It's actually cool.
Yeah.
I like it. And it happens often. Like last week when we talked, I talked about how like he made change. Like when I said, he says, Dad, you owe me $6. And I said, all I have is 20. He goes, oh, wait a minute. I'll go up to my vault, his safe that he has up in his room, and I'll bring you back $14.
Your kid's learning how to be a banker at 9?
He's doing math. He's doing like, and I'm like, okay, honey, like I'm on my fingers, like counting what's going on. And he just slings it. So whenever my kids say something, one of those like, aha, cool moments, I most of the time am like, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. It makes me smile.
Do you send him to like a private school at all? Charter school? Or does he go to public?
Public school. CCSD, public school.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so some of you guys don't know this, but Vegas public schools are not the top rated in the country. So for your kid to thrive in that environment, man, he's extra special.
He loves it. And it's a good school, Henderson.
Yeah.
It's a nice suburb, nice city right next door to Las Vegas. And both my kids go to CCSD schools and are fine.
Yeah.
They're good.
Well, one of them you go to LVA, right? Yeah. You get LVA. That's a little bit different. That's a specialized academy, right? Yeah. So my wife is half Jewish. And I told her when we have the next kid, I'm 100% getting him in Jewish schools, kindergarten through whatever. Like my kid's never going to see a public high school a day in his life.
Go Adelson.
I want him to learn about money very early.
Go.
Yeah.
Go.
We're leaning on it, right?
Get him a solar powered calculator, abacus, whatever it takes, ledger paper.
Yep. I'm gonna have a little pencil. Lenny Kravitz out there, boy. He's gonna be killing it.
Lenny Kravitz. Oh my God.
He's gonna yap like me, but he's gonna be smart like my wife.
It's something that, and so we're gonna talk about. It's like, when did you realize you were a dad? When did it hit you? What happened in your life? And you're like, I'm a dad now.
Yeah. Well, can we just talk about the word dad for a second, right? Because, there's, you have a stepdad where it's like, hey, I didn't give birth to this kid, but I'm still your dad. Some people were raised by older siblings, right? They had to become the dad there. So I think dad kind of just means any man who takes responsibility for others, younger.
Absolutely.
Does it have to be someone younger? Is that a definition we agree on? Or just a man who decides to take care of and take responsibility for others?
I think it's a dad is someone that takes care of it's chronologically younger person.
Okay.
That there's either a blood relationship or legal relationship through adoption or through marriage or I don't know, man. That's a tough one.
Well, because when I teach my classes, they call me angry dad. Right? Because I'm just like, you guys need to be better. Right?
Yeah.
Like they call me angry dad because at the core of my yelling and frustration is I want to take responsibility for like their bad behaviors.
Absolutely.
Right? So when did you realize you were a dad? The first time our kid asked me for advice on something. Now my kid, if you know anything about her, she does not open up to anybody. Right? Like we tried therapy. And even the therapist was like, that's just who she is. She's not going to share with me or, so it's a treasure if she opens up about something personal, right? She's experienced some things in her life that make her kind of resistant to talking. The first time she came home and she just like threw her backpack down and was like, what do you think I should do? And I was so caught off guard. I was like, repeat the question. I needed time to right? I needed time to gather myself.
It's awesome.
Right? But she asked me, and it was something small, something insignificant. She had 2 things she wanted to do, and she didn't want to let either person down. And I'm like, hey, look, in life, you can't always have your cake and eat it too.
Exactly right.
You can't do both things. Sometimes you're going to have to pick and choose and who you want to let down, right? And it hit me. I felt like, yeah, look at me. I did the dad thing, right? I gave a piece of fatherly advice and I nailed it, right? That was the moment. What about you? What was the prideful moment? Because there's always a pride attached to this moment.
It was when the first time it hit me to be a dad, and my daughter was young and she's 15 and a half now. She was born, we were living in St. George, Utah, and she was born there.
Yeah.
And we were Mormon at the time. And she got really sick. She was maybe like 6 months old, baby. And we bring her in the emergency room and she's wailing and had a high temperature and they didn't know what to do. And we bring in the Mormons come in and they're praying over her. And this older nurse comes in and they tried to get an IV. They couldn't get, I mean, her arms are too small, too much fat. So in the head is where they go. And they're sticking my daughter, who's 6 months old-ish, in the head with a needle to try to start an IV. And this nurse, like her, she's getting flustered. Her face is getting red. It was bad. And I go, everyone stop. Stop. Leave the room. Everyone out, except for my wife and I. I said, let's all go outside. All of you go outside. Take a breath, take a beat, and come back in and let's reset and try this again. And so they all left, come back in, the nurse went in, nailed it, got the IV, and then I walked out and started crying. I was like, whoa.
Yeah, you never know how you're going to react in that moment,
Fight
right?
or flight.
Because like this nurse is just jabbing your kid, right? And you're sitting there and you're like, I know you're the professional, but I'm going to fuck you up, right? Stab my kid one more time.
My firstborn.
Yeah.
My first child. Like, and your first kid, like I've got a buddy now who his wife is pregnant and she's about to pop. And it's hilarious when you talk to somebody who they're having their first kid. Because it's like, what do I do when you get registered and you buy 15 different things you don't fucking need? The baby doesn't need a crock pot, for Christ's sake. Just stop it. 90% of the stuff you get when you have your first kid at a shower, you never use.
Yeah.
And you end up like selling it on eBay or doing something with it.
I once bought somebody a wedding registry gift and they tried re-gifting me that shit like 2 years later. I said, motherfucker, I remember the pot that I bought you. Don't play me like that.
The shit just never, it never works. And then when you get into having like your second, your third and all that, then it's more like, it's still all the excitement's there, but it's different.
Yeah.
It's just because you've like, all right, I've navigated these waters for the most part.
Yeah.
And so you kind of have more to, but again, the kids are different and the whole thing. But I think that with being a dad and being the first, everyone remembers, I think, that first time being a dad. If y'all are on and you've got your first time being a dad or in comments, let's hear it. Because I think we all have that as fathers, that first time.
Those scary moments, yeah.
The time where it's either scary or it's something where your daughter comes to you for advice for the first time. Like, what?
How terrified. No, I mean this in the nicest way, Jeff. And I love you as a person, but I know Mormons and you feel like a really shitty Mormon.
Fucking terrible.
I know Mormons. Love those people. You feel like a very shitty Mormon. It feels like it's just not for you.
You just, the whole thing, the whole Mormon thing is never, I bounced 2020. I was after 13 years, I was out.
Yeah.
I missed coffee. I gave myself a 10% raise.
For those of you guys don't know, there's a 10% tithe thing going on. But we'll get that in a different episode.
Strict tithing.
Yeah.
And so, Adrian said it's so new, right? And it was new to me as well. When you become, and again, dads don't experience the pain.
Yeah.
We don't go through any of that stuff at all. But psychologically, men are proud people.
Yeah.
Men are proud. Our gender is pride.
Yeah.
In terms of just, here I am, and you help bring life into the world, and you're like, there's no manual. We've talked about this
at all.
There's no real manual for what to do. You just have to screw up and learn from that, and always be talking to your spouse.
Well, true.
That's it.
True. And there's the fear, right? Because like, if we fuck up, and again, if any moms who are out there, please don't get upset about this. We're just sharing how we feel, right? If something goes wrong, nobody's going to blame that pretty angel of your wife. They're not going to blame her, right? They're going to blame you.
You're screwed.
You're screwed. It's your fault.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
The judges, everybody from the judges to your friend group is going to blame you.
Yeah.
And there's no manual for it, you know? And that's realizing you're a dad is both like a pride thing and a fear thing.
Absolutely.
Because on the pride side, it's like, they come to me for advice. I'm the one that they see strength in. But then it's like, oh shit, they come to me for advice. I'm the one that they see strength in.
And then take it to the next step where I'm divorced from my kid's mom.
Yeah.
We co-parent very well. We are cordial to each other. We respect each other for the most part. And for the most part.
Where did that come around, co-parent? Where did that, because I know that's like a modern thing. I've had a couple clients tell me they co-parent. Like in the 50s, 60s, 70s, there wasn't really a co-parent. Like if dad went to go get some milk, that motherfucker went to get some milk.
Cigarettes.
Cigarettes.
He went to get cigarettes.
He was gone, right? He was gone. It wasn't no co-parent. It was like, I hate y'all. I'm gone. When did this whole like co-parent, that's a word that's like pet owner and co-parent.
When did co-parenting, when did that term come about?
Yeah.
Man, I don't know. Like I'd say within the past 10 years is when it really came to fruition and it grew, because you think about, well, we parent together, we co-parent.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That's what you're doing. And for anyone that is fighting over the kids is more important than raising the kids together, you're a bad parent.
Oh, yeah.
You're a bad parent.
Yeah.
Because you're being selfish.
Yeah.
You're putting any type of bitter squabble you have with the mother or father or whatever of your kids over the health, safety, and well-being, i.e. raising your kids.
I'm unfortunate that most of the people I know, the couples we hang out with, have young kids, right? So for the most part, those issues. But I remember when I was younger, and I mean, just to date a few single moms here and there back in the day.
Oh, yeah.
You know? And I could just remember that every time they would start to talk poorly about the father of their kids, I would have an instantaneous disgust of like, oh, right? And I was too young to understand what, right? I was just horny. I was like, whatever, you know, but I was like, oh God, I'm definitely kind of like, this is definitely the end of the road for this, right? It wasn't until I was older that I realized like, oh my God, if you talk about like that person to me, how do you explain it to your kid? Is that how you describe the father to the kid? Like, what is that kid going to raise up thinking about himself?
Right.
If you tell him your dad's a fucking piece of shit, he's this, that kid's like, well, that's my dad. Does that mean I'm a piece, right? Like, what are you imparting on them?
It is one of the worst. And that's why, like, I had several steps before I went on a date with somebody back when I was single, that if she bitched about her ex, I'm out. That is the biggest red flag ever.
Yep.
Now, conversely, one of the best things I ever did was, if it was a single mom, I'd offer to pay for the babysitter.
That's some game right there.
I'd offer to pay for the babysitter.
That's some game right there.
I would say, send me your babysitter's Venmo, whatever. How much do you pay her? What is it? And I would cover that every time.
Jeff got game. Jeff was out there buying Capri Suns for the kids and shit, getting their favorite flavors.
Dude, we're doing.
You got the big pouch, didn't you, Jeff?
We're doing Juicy Juice little boxes, the whole thing. Oh, hell yeah.
You got the big pouch, didn't you,
Dude, the organic chocolate milk from Costco.
Oh, yeah.
The little boxes. Hell yeah.
Oh, yeah. You took a single mom to Whole Foods. You knew the game. You've never had groceries this expensive.
Someone just I saw a thing online about Trader Joe's is like a great place to go pick up single moms.
Oh, can I do a top 5? Is that excessive? Is top 3 better?
Go ahead. No, go.
Top 3 places to pick up single moms in Las Vegas. Okay. The sidebar of any MGM property. I don't know why single moms like MGM properties more than Caesars properties. I'm just telling you the ratio. A sidebar of an MGM property, like, you know, you walk through a casino, in the middle is where all the hot girls walk. On the side where the machines are, the slot machines are, that's the single mom territory. Don't ask me why, but it's 100% true and I'm not lying. Number 2, trust me on this. You got to trust me. Number 2 is Trader Joe's. Any Trader Joe's or a certain one? I like the Trader Joe's on Eastern and Coronado Center. That is that's high quality single mom. Her kids probably go to Coronado, right? Or Bob Miller or something. That's a high end single mom. And then number 1 is Target.
Really?
Oh my sweet Jesus. Sometimes when I'm with my wife, I'm like, baby, is this a strip club or is this Target? Because they out there in their sports bras and then their leggings with the high-waisted shorts. And I'm like, oh, Lord, they're out. Like, I don't know if they do this on purpose, but it's definitely a signal. So that's the top 3 right there. Target, Trader Joe's, any MGM property at the little, you know, machines at the side.
Ladies, if you're on, and if this is true, can you please, and if you're in the comments as well, confirm or deny what Brandon has said.
Ladies,
hilarious.
Ladies, y'all go to Target like it's sexy. I'm just saying. I don't know if it's an accident. I don't know what it is. But maybe it's because guys find comfortable clothing sexy. Are you like a lingerie or sweatpants kind of guy?
Ooh, depends on my mood. Which is, I know I'm usually committed, like, it's this.
Yeah.
It depends on my mood. There is some, like, well, my wife is a fucking smoke show, and she'll wear like just those black leggings.
Yeah. Oh, that's crack.
And her ass is like Jesus Christ himself. Like,
oh, yeah.
This is a perfect ass. Boop.
Yeah.
On a white woman. There it is. Like, she's funny because she moved here. I got her from Georgia this summer. She moved here and she's put a little weight on, all in her ass. It's wonderful. Thank you, Booty Jesus.
Thank you, Booty. Yes, Jeff is the luckiest man on the world.
Thank you, Booty Jesus.
My wife put on 15 pounds. Uh-oh. All in the cheeks. God damn.
Done.
Right.
Done and done. I'm like, hallelujah. It's wonderful. So for me, it's whether she's in sweatpants or if she puts on something sexy.
Yeah.
Either way, man. Either way, because she has the libido of a 20-year-old girl. She's sending me naughty memes in my DMs all day long.
You still get sexy messages?
All the time. I love it. And I love it. It's like little Hallmark cards, little naughty X-rated Hallmark cards I get from my wife. I love it.
To the dads watching, is this a thing? I haven't got sexy messages from my wife in like, I don't know, probably like a decade. Right?
Start sending them.
Should I initiate the sexy
Initiate
messages?
like a motherfucker. Absolutely.
Yeah?
Yes.
Is this a common thing? Is this something that I'm ignorant? Am I learning something today right now? Because like, I thought that shit stopped after the honeymoon phase.
Oh.
I thought the sexy.
Hey, Mav, it's something that has started during like when we were dating to now we're married and it's never stopped. We're 2 years in and still going.
That's beautiful.
Thank you. Yeah. Like she's always like sending me like naughty. She's the first woman on the planet. I'm half Irish. Draw your own conclusions. She's the first woman on the planet to brag to her friends about my dick. And she does not have glaucoma.
They ain't bragging on your dick, Jeff.
No.
They ain't bragging.
And I know why, but she's the first one to be like, I tell all my, this is back when she was in Florida as a nurse. She's like, I tell all the girls, nurses are naughty. Nurses are naughty.
Yeah.
There's trauma they deal with. And so nurses are naughty. You're naughty and you know it.
Nurses are very high on the scale.
Oh, and so like, that's like one of the highest ones, like don't date a nurse. They're all nuts.
Yeah.
Mine's crazy, but I love how she's crazy. So she's crazy for me and I love
crazy
that.
Works for you, right?
Her crazy fits me perfectly.
It's like, it's like nurses, teachers, flight attendants. On TikTok, that's usually like the top three of like red flag professions.
It is something that with her, she bragged to her friends on her shift in Florida.
How'd you find out?
She told me.
She told you that she was bragging on your dick to other girls?
Yeah.
You got a winner, bro.
I went, I think I went online looking at rings as soon as she said that.
Did they say they want to join? Is that
I'm on like BlueNile.com as soon as she said
for real. You can't let that one go.
It was just like, what? Like I still have imposter syndrome that the relationship with my wife is so good. I wake up sometimes I'm like, what are you doing with me?
Yeah.
Well, like she's incredible. And she's been an incredible stepmom to my kids. And I've been as best as I can, a stepdad to my stepdaughter, her daughter.
Yeah.
Soph is 16 and a great kid. Great kid.
Were you always kind of slutty in your single phase, or is this something that you've kind of like grown into now that you're comfortable with her?
Oh, it's a great question. The analogy I use, Brandon, is this. When you want to know the value of your car, you go to CarMax.
Okay.
All right. It's straight up, no bullshit. You bring your car in, they go, well, Jeff, you've got a 2022 Tesla Model Y. We're going to give you $33,000 for you. Oh my God, I thought it was worth 20. Thank you very much.
Okay.
When you start dating, especially if you're a man of means, which means you have some money in the bank, you're doing okay, you're easily researchable on social media.
Sure.
People can look you up and see who you are, and you're a good dad. And you're in your 40s to 50s, you're fucking.
Is that the game out there right now?
You're fucking. And
single dad, y'all out there fucking?
It was something that was to me, like I was faithful to my wife for 13 years.
Yeah.
And it just didn't work out. We break up. And then I'm like, oh, and so it was like me going to CarMax, all of a sudden they go on all these dating sites and women that I was like, there's no way this woman would find me attractive. No way.
Yeah.
And next thing you know, we're going out. We're going to Hank's for dirty martinis.
How long was it taken to go from we're on a date at Hank's to we're fucking in the backseat of the car?
Never did that. Never did any backseat fucking.
No?
Nope.
You're a bed guy? You're
I'm a
always,
bed guy. I have a Casper.
Is it a size thing or is it just a comfortability thing?
I already told you I'm half Irish. Oh, sizing me? I'm sorry. You meant size.
Come on,
I'm kidding. I think that it was really more of just a respect thing. Like car sex was like, you're in like your 20s and 30s. You're having car sex. I'm a man. I'm a man then. I'm in my early 50s when I was single. It's like, I'm a man about town now. I can't be.
I'm a man about
I can't be
town.
banging you in my back. I had a Mercedes. I can't be banging you in my Mercedes.
You're not a public poker?
Back in my younger me, sure, but now, no.
Oh,
I'm like,
man.
let's go back. And besides, I have a great mattress. I have a Casper. It's wonderful.
He said, I gotta. That's how you got the girls back at the house. Hey, I got enough money to get the Casper bed. You want to come sit on that thing?
Well, listen, it was the Casper bed. It was the Steve Perry Spotify Journey playlist.
Yeah.
I had on Alexa that and the 3-wick Pottery Barn candle, on the nightstand.
You're a hoe, bro. You got
Check.
all the hoe setups.
Check. I never knew women squirted until I started dating. I never knew. And that was like the Bellagio water show. It was insane.
Bellagio water show. You eating at Spago is what you're saying.
You could actually like time it to Open Arms by Journey sometimes.
Oh, you're a music fuck. You get down like that.
Oh, back then I did. Yeah.
Yeah?
Back then it was like.
Now you don't do the music. Now that you're married, you don't do the music no more?
You know what? We're just so horny for each other. It's that we go at it like we're like 18 years old.
You don't even have time to get to the music.
Time. And she's so hot. Like she rubs up against me and I'm like, let's go.
Let's go. Yeah.
Let's go.
Don't you smile the wrong way.
Yeah. And it's funny because, and she loves it. I'm 55. I need no pharmaceutical representation whatsoever from the 38th parallel south.
Ain't no Blue Chew for you?
No.
Ain't no Blue Chew?
Blue Chew?
You ain't never heard about the Blue Chew?
No.
That's the new shit. That's the new shit on the streets, man.
Are any of you guys ever experienced Blue Chew? Or any women? Are you with a guy with Blue Chew?
Blue Chew.
Blue Chew?
Oh my God. Every time I'm on TikTok, there's a commercial. Maybe they're targeting, I don't know, man. It's always a black guy in the commercial. So maybe they're targeting me.
It's a racial thing.
Yeah, it's just some like thick white girl who's just like, do you want to last longer in bed and pound me out? And then there's some black guy that's like, hell yeah. And it's like, oh, yeah.
Fucking elephant trunk
coming
out.
Who is this targeted to?
Tripod.
My dick ain't big enough for Blue Chew. We don't need that around here. We don't need that shit around here.
Give yourself grace.
This is me giving myself grace, man. I'm not good at basketball and I got an average dick. I'm breaking all the black stereotypes one by one.
Look, y'all can hate me for what I said about Keith Lee, but that's the real deal right there.
That's some honest shit, bruh. I tell girls, man, back in my 20s, I would tell girls, hey, look, I used to work nightclubs. So I would sit there in my little black suit that the wind provided me, and around 1 p.m., every security guard knows if a girl strikes out in a nightclub, she strikes out in a nightclub, she don't get any play. By 1 p.m., security, they're in a suit. They're kind of manly. They're kind of big.
Let's go.
It's game time. So every security guard knew right about 1 p.m.
Let's go.
And if they came up to me, I'd be like, listen, I'm not the guy for you. You're looking for some fucking 10-foot porn star.
Let's go.
Baby girl.
Yeah.
I'm not the one.
Well, there was always a line, I brought that back in college, about girls, you'd say at 10, she's a 2, and at 2, she's a 10.
Yeah, it's a khaki.
Same thing.
Yeah. During peak hours of nightclub, I'm like a 3. I'm a chubby black guy in a suit. There's rich people here. There's actual men of means here.
Absolutely.
Around 1 p.m., I'm like a 6 or a 7, right?
Hell yeah.
Like, at least I'm not scrawny, right?
Hell yeah.
At least we're going to make it out of here alive.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
All right. I want to pivot for a second and talk about, this is something that's bothered me forever that I want to bring up. And that is, if you're a parent and if you take your kids out to dinner and you have them actively on some type of an electronic device, i.e. a cell phone or a tablet, you are a shitty parent.
The worst. Is there, because you and I agree on this, right? Is this black and white for you? So for instance, I know some parents. I consider them to be great parents, right? And they typically allow about 15 minutes of YouTube, and then they cut it off. So do you feel like there's a gray area here, or are you very strict, black and white? There should be no technology at dinner, period.
No technology at dinner, period.
Okay.
None.
Why is that? Why is that?
Because I'm just come from the generation of when you're having a meal with somebody, that is the best and only time to get to really know somebody.
Yeah, okay.
Right? Like I was raised by Roman Catholic Italians in upstate New York. Like I was back there this past weekend to see my dad. Went and saw John Grosso, one of my best friends. He's from Palermo, Sicily. He owns an Italian deli. We go to his house. I'll send you a video of just what he makes. He has gravy. It's not sauce, it's gravy, right? With like the pork and the homemade meatballs and the sausage. That he makes the sausage himself at his deli. I bring my dad over. I bring a bottle of Chianti over. Like it's a thing. There's no electronics at the table.
Yeah.
I'm not checking to see if my Instagram post is doing well.
Yeah.
Or what's on TikTok. That can wait. When I'm at the table with my kids and or my wife, there's no electronics.
Yeah.
None. We talk. I don't care if it's silence, Brandon. It's still a time to reset and just be there with your thoughts. You enjoy the food better. You're focused more on the food. My wife cooks almost every night. A home
she is from
meal.
Georgia.
I mean, she is the epitome of Southern hospitality.
Yeah.
So, and now I bought her a Traeger. So she is like, she smoked chicken last night. Oh my! And she does roasted vegetables on the Traeger with bacon. Bacon is her favorite food group. She puts bacon in everything. Bacon's in everything.
I mean, again, you got you a girl from the South, bro.
It's
Does she season her chicken?
Huh?
Does she season her chicken?
She does.
She does. Okay.
Yeah, she has her own seasoning.
Just checking on you.
Yep, she has her own seasoning. But it's like when you're at a dinner table or any kind of meal, especially when you're going out. I guess my ADHD, it drives me bananas when I'm trying to talk to my kids or we're having a time together and I hear somebody's, here's Team Umizoomi.
Yeah.
Or, there's some type of show that they're watching on Nickelodeon or something.
It'd be loud as shit, right?
Loud.
Damn.
And the parents are there and the parents could be on speakerphone with somebody, and which is also the fucking worst. That's the worst. And so
when it's a whole table, I can't lie. Now, I pride myself. I've gained control of my temper, right? But I can't deny how I feel. If I'm sitting at dinner and I look over and there's just a whole family just staring at their phones, I'm judging you, man. I'm straight up. I'm judging you. In my head, me and my wife are probably looking at each other being like, oh, we're definitely not gonna be those parents, right?
It's just, especially when you go out. And now I like at home, we're not at the table. If I'm on your phone and dick, okay, I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
Within reason, I'm fine with it. There's times I'm probably on my phone too much. I know, but you know what? My kids call me out sometimes. Dad, get off your phone. Okay, sorry, I'm off my phone. I'm now like, I will, something I'm watching, my son is 9, we're watching Beast Games, Mr. Beast show on TV. And there's one more episode left. I'm riveted to this thing. And it's a show that, because he doesn't have a phone yet. So him and I sit, I put my phone on Do Not Disturb, I put it away, I flip it over so I don't see a thing.
Yeah.
And him and I spend that time watching Mr. Beast. I told you before, I'm watching The Office with my daughter. And there's no electronics.
Yeah.
We're just watching The Office together.
See, you're better. And the reason I'm probably a little bit less harsh on this is because anybody who knows me knows I'm attached to my phone 24/7, right? Because of what I do, I'm either answering texts or calls, or I'm editing videos, or I'm re-uploading something, or I'm reposting it. It's just my job requires me to be attached to this damn phone 24/7, right? And I've worked really hard to not be a hypocrite, So I'm lucky our kid isn't really one of those phone addicted kids. But when she does pull out her phone at dinner, it's hard for me to be like, hey, get off your damn phone, when she can just look at me and be like, you're on your phone all the damn time. You got to lead by example. Yeah.
And the thing is that there was Michael Keaton, who was Batman and is a great actor. There's a clip of him somewhere, and he said one of the best things he ever did was later on in life, and if he could have done this earlier, he would have, but the best thing he ever learned is spend more time with your children. You're going to make less money. You're going to not be as informed as to world events or what's going on with the latest gossip or what's trending and all that because you're not online that much. But spend more time with your kids because it's something that when you're on your deathbed, they can't take away from you. That's a biggie. And so I never forgot that. And so especially when I became a single dad and now, even with married to Brandy, I still make it a point to spend time with my kids.
Yeah.
They even got on me about being on the phone in the car, which is, you think, oh my God, phone, car, kids, safety reason. So now I make it a point. I put my phone on not disturb and I put it down so I don't see any notifications or anything when one of my kids is in the car, just to set the example. That's it. I mean, but to get back to you with the original point is, if you go out and you're going out to dinner and you have to have a phone on or give your kid a phone or a tablet, you're a shitty parent. I just think you're a shitty parent because you're being lazy and you're not taking the time to talk to them or just enjoy the silence with them.
Yeah. Or if they're like, my mom had 3 boys. Okay. My mom and dad had 3 boys, right? Now we were all roughly about 2 years apart. Right. So when she was going out, there was a 5-year-old, a 7-year-old, and a 9-year-old going out together. This was before the cell phone era. Right. So when people tell me like, oh, I can't control my kids or they'll be this, I'm like, my mom controlled me. The answer was fear. I don't know how your parents were.
Yeah.
I don't know if Roman Catholics are the same as American blacks, but when we pulled up to Chili's, before we got them Southwestern egg rolls, there was a conversation. And the conversation was very quick. Y'all aren't going to embarrass me in this restaurant, are you? No. All right then, right? Because not only would it stop us from ever going to Chili's again, we'd also get our ass beat. Right? there was consequences to these actions.
That's back when it was okay to hit a kid. And personally, we could talk about this one too. I haven't smacked one of my kids like in the ass or anything in a long time.
Sure.
But if one of my kids like was a toddler and would run away or misbehave, they're getting a spanking right then and there.
Yeah.
I don't care.
Yeah.
I don't care. You're getting spanked. And I'm a firm believer of that.
Yeah.
And most of the time, it would hurt my hand more than my daughter, especially. She has a giant diaper on.
Yeah.
It's like an airbag, Hold
on. Never stop the grind. I'm guessing this person is black as well. So they understand the plight of black kids in America, right? Same for me. I told my kids so much, I don't even want to have to say anything anymore. No phones at the table. Okay. So never stop the grind is feelings with this with no phones at the table.
Perfect.
Right? And again, Jeff, I lean with you. And it's something I have to be better at, right? I need to be able to control my clients and my business and be able to say, hey, look, I'm at dinner with the family. I'll get back to you in 30 minutes.
Yeah.
I get you.
Don't even do that. Just let it go. Put the phone on not disturb. You're having a meal with your family. That's it. Full stop. You don't need to tell no one. You don't have to give an example or an excuse about your time to anyone. No one deserves that except for you.
Yeah.
That's all. And your kids pick up on that. Like I said before, my son plays chess. He's taught me how to play chess. We play chess now all the time.
Yeah.
And there's no phones. I'm not looking at anything else. Even the TV's not even on. Nothing. And there's no TV on when we're having dinner.
Yeah.
There's none of that.
They learn how important they are through osmosis, right?
Yes.
It's like
And so the best thing we could do is lead by example. And again, I am far from perfect. I am a shitty father with a bunch of different stuff, but with that kind of stuff, no.
Yeah.
No. That I've got locked in. That we do not have electronics at the table. It drives me insane. It drives me insane.
It's that's a good grinding of gears because I feel like now, unfortunately, like everything else important in this world, they're going to make something controversial out of that. And I really don't think it's a controversial take, right? I know parents who let their kids watch the television or watch, their phone, YouTube, And even they'll say to me, oh man, I wish I didn't do that so much, right? It's no different than me eating poorly or somebody drinking too much, right? It's like, I think people are cognizant and aware of the habit. It's just bringing themselves to a point of like, today is when we stop, right? Because once you initiate a bad habit, it is really hard to pull that. To pull that, we're not to go down that road, but we're seeing it. We're seeing it politically, right? When you let so many bad habits kind of linger, you normalize the bad habit, and once something's normalized, it's very hard. If you've been eating carbs every day for fucking 3 years, telling yourself no more sweets and no more carbs, kind of hard. You need to stop, but it's like, it's a habit. You're addicted to it.
Absolutely. You mentioned politics, and it brings up a good point. Do you and your wife have the same political leanings?
We do now.
Okay.
We do now. When we first started, obviously when you're filling out the dating process, you don't just come up and be like, who do you vote for? But the way you respond to certain topics, the way you talk about certain topics, it's pretty clear where people lean. And when we first started, she was far more, I'd say she's on the conservative side of liberal, but she was a single woman in America. She had been exposed to only certain ideas and topics.
Yeah.
So she held certain beliefs because she had never seen anything else better. Right? I think that's the best way to put it. She had never been exposed to anything better.
Yep.
And now, 10 years later, I think she's more conservative than me. Seriously, there's topics that I'm, at the end of the day, I think I'm one of the few 50-50 men on this earth.
Right.
Right? I'm totally down for strippers, cannabis, drag queens, whatever you want to do. But I'm also like super conservative, spend our money, close borders, whatever. I'm pretty 50-50. There'll be topics now where I'm like, oh, this is happening. She's like, fuck that. Da-da-da-da-da. Like she's now the gung-ho one, And I know for you with your ex, was that, obviously people split for different reasons and it's never just one thing, but was that one of the lingering kind of in the background causes?
I don't know if it was one of the causes why we split up. It was something that we never saw eye to eye.
Okay.
And I always let her speak her mind. To me, I'm a eternal optimist, Brandon, with things. And
Sure.
I look at it now, especially with what's going on lightning pace with what's going on in Washington, D.C.
Sure.
With appointees and everything and all the changes going on right now in the United States and also now, spreading globally for what's going on. It's a great time to have those conversations with your child.
Yeah.
And so I was at dinner with Alex. I texted you. We were at China Mama for the first time in Chinatown off of Spring Mountain. And it was awesome.
Yeah.
Oh my God. And something came up about politics. And she said, oh, I don't want to talk about that. And I respected that. I said, okay, fine.
Yeah.
I'll let it go. But that night I texted her and I said, hey, honey, we can talk about politics anytime you want to, and we might agree to disagree on some things.
Yeah.
But I never want you to feel like you can't talk to me about how you feel about whatever is your body, your orientation, whatever's going on in the government, how it's going to affect that as a soon-to-be 16-year-old female in the United States of America. I want to give you a safe place to land to have you talk about that, or at least I'll listen. We might disagree on some stuff. Again, I can sympathize with you. I can't empathize. I'm not a woman, but I think I know pretty much like what's going on in the world.
Yeah.
And I can try to like decode that for you and translate.
You don't want her to hear it from only one side, is what I'm feeling like. Is it because do you genuinely want to talk to her about these things?
Yes.
You genuinely want to?
Because I love politics and current events. I love it.
Okay.
I was a political science major in college. So yeah, I love it.
Do you ever feel like you're propagandizing her, where you obviously have your own leanings and biases? Do you feel like you're able to keep those to the side when you're talking with her, or do they slip out?
What I will do, because I have Fox News on in the car. And
you're a Fox News guy?
Oh, hell yeah. Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
They're corny.
Hell yeah, dude. Hell yeah. And
they're so corny.
But it's like, I'll sometimes I'll go over to like CBS or NBC or MSNBC and it's just, it's just the back and forth is bananas because there's nothing in the middle. And that's a whole other conversation. But the thing is that I want my kids to feel comfortable talking to me about anything they want.
Yeah.
I'm not perfect, but we can agree to disagree on things. I will, every time I slow down how I talk, I'm much more measured with how I speak.
Yeah.
And so what I say carries more gravity when I'm talking to my kids, especially about politics.
Yeah.
And if they say, especially what my son will say, but my daughter might say something, and I will listen every time to what she's talking about. I might find some sources to give her to say, hey, this isn't.
Check these out.
Yeah, check this out. Look at this source, and go from there. We haven't gotten there yet, but we will. I know we will. I hope we do. I want to have those conversations with her.
Do you think every relationship that I've ever seen, I can only use my own experiences, right? That's the healthiest way to try to live. The only relationships that I've ever seen, the healthiest ones, are mom is usually a bit more liberal than dad, right? Because she kind of has to care about emotions. She has to care about well-being, shit that we don't, like, I want you to be successful. I want you to be safe, but like,
oh yeah,
I really don't give a shit if you're happy today. Like you need to work on that yourself, right? Like I can't, what am I going to do? Buy you a toy every day so you're happy? Like that's ludicrous, right? But mom, that's her focus. I want to make sure everybody's happy, right? I think the healthiest relationships that I've seen are liberal mom, conservative dad, right? Because dad kind of has to be a bit more authoritarian. And the reason I say this is because like conservatism or like right wing, whatever you want to call it, comes with punishment. It's a big on consequences of actions, right? And one of my favorite things that I ask and I like to talk about is who does the punishing in your house, right? Right? Who does the punishing? When kids talk back, especially when boys get bigger, who's doing the punishing? Who's striking terror and fear into the hearts of these young boys? It's dad, right? At 14 years old, I could bench press my mom over my head, right? I was like 6'2", 215, football, right? Yeah. I could fucking rack my mom over my head, right? There came a point where like, there was no fear. Well, you can hit me in the face. It's not going to do anything, right? I'm 14 years old, but dad, fuck, I don't care how big I am. That fear is eternal, right? That fear is permanent. So I feel like dad being that authoritarian figure, I don't want to say necessary. It just feels like a more natural role. Do you feel me on that?
I think it's fluid to me. When I grew up,
fluid.
It's fluid to me. I'll tell you why. Because all I could take is when I was growing up, I was afraid of my mother, but then that happened. We had that aha moment where I was like 6'1", 215, playing football, and she tried to like smack me or something. I'm like, Mom, really?
Come on.
Really? But by then, my parents had divorced.
Okay.
And they were no longer together. But my dad was a yeller. My dad's from New York City.
Yeah.
He's a yeller.
Yeah.
And so he would just, I was more afraid of my father growing up.
Yeah.
But there are times that like I'd feel like I'd let down my mom. And it would be more of a letdown. I
don't know if you want to dive into that, but I think that's a huge reason a lot of these young, and you know what, I'll save it because that's a whole topic. But I think moms tend to overpunish the same way you see right now. And I think parenting and politics go hand in hand. They do. Because, right, people who are more liberal tend to be more momish, right? And I find that group tends to overpunish, where it's like everybody gets to be happy, everybody gets to be everything they want. But the second you break the rules, they don't want to punish you a little bit. You're canceled. You're this. You're a racist.
Yeah.
They want to label you for the rest of your life. Like I find that moms tend to over punish, and they often do it psychologically. And they do it so effectively that they break their kids by over punishing. Whereas dad just wants to make you cry, right?
The end.
He just wants to make you cry.
Full stop.
He knows that you are you remember this moment.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So, and again, not every dad is perfect. Obviously, there's some Adrian Petersons out there that take it too far. We're not going to pretend that that's not real. Yeah. And we're not going to pretend like there's no mom out there who can't punish correctly. We don't lie in the extremes. We're just talking about the generalities, that's right? Dad just wants to make you cry. I need to know that you feel remorse and you're going to remember this moment so it doesn't happen again.
Yeah.
I find that moms tend to over punish, and they often do it through guilt, manipulation, and psychological means, which is why I made the statement that I think like liberal mom, conservative dad seems to be the not perfect, but most efficacious way of handling it.
I think also that like we're all in therapy because of our parents. Everybody, come on, man. And so my goal is to keep my kids in therapy less than I was in therapy because of my parents. That's my goal as a parent, full stop.
You think it helps?
Yes.
I think this is where we're going to disagree.
Yeah.
I think you and I agree on a lot of things. And I think that's why we can have a fluid conversation. I think this is where we're going to drastically disagree. I think my grandpa went to war twice. He suffered through real racism, not this modern day pansy bullshit racism. Dogs and hoses and Jim Crow. My grandpa lived through all of that. That motherfucker never went to therapy, not one time. Raised families, daughters, grandkids, no peep, no complaint. To the day he died, I never heard that man complain one time, right? Never took therapy, right? And I've never been a big believer, and I've never had anybody able to convince me on this.
It is something that I think it's generational. Like if you look at like the Greatest Generation that went to World War II,
sure.
We couldn't even fathom what they saw.
Fuck no.
Right? And they
blood and guts and your best friend's intestines just fucking,
awful. And they came back and said nothing about it.
Drank their problems away.
There was no such thing as PTSD back then.
Yeah.
There wasn't therapy back then like that. You had what is it? I forget the name of what they had, but people that just couldn't take it. You had you'd get put into a hospital for like a couple of weeks and then, okay, you're good.
Yeah, right.
You're good. Nope, go, here's your gun. Go shoot people and probably get killed yourself. Now, even worse.
Yeah.
A higher chance of mortality.
Go work this office job when you're done.
Yeah, and then now go sit in office.
Go work in the steel mill.
Yeah, and so they just grit their teeth and came home and did what they're supposed to do.
Yeah.
Where as you look at the evolution of our society, there's more of a pussification of what's happening.
Yeah.
But also that it's okay to not be okay. And it's okay to go talk to a licensed professional to go, I don't feel like I want to live anymore. I don't feel like I don't think that I'm good enough to my kids. I don't think that I am the best role model to my kids.
Sure.
I don't want to be a dad anymore. And I think that there's times, I think if every dad has those thoughts, not that you want to kill yourself, but that you want to just, I don't want to be a dad anymore. I don't want a dad today.
Yeah.
Those days happen sometimes. And it's having someone to help you get through that. Now, it could be a therapist. It could be your wife. It could be a best friend.
What happened to prayer, though?
It could be prayer. The Mormons fucked me up so bad, I'm done.
No, I understand.
I'm out. And anyone that does, if prayer is your thing, my dad was baptized Jewish. He's now a Christian, born again Christian, happy as could be. I'm so happy for him.
Yeah.
I am ecstatic for him. I've met his pastor, wonderful people. Not my jam. Not my jam. I was Mormon for 13 years. I think that there's like a higher power.
Sure.
I've told you this. I think it's more like the cantina scene in Star Wars, where it's like 13 as a quorum, an odd number of like beings around a table. You're such an
old nerd bringing up the cantina scene.
It's the cantina scene in Star Wars.
Update your analogies, motherfucker.
I can't. It's relevant shit, man. It's relevant shit. And so it's like, I think that there's somewhere people or things are judging like, okay, Jeff Fargo, Brandon Johnson, this is what's going to happen. And here's Jeff and here's Brandon. Next thing you know, boop, dad pod. And they're going to fucking do this and have a great time doing it.
Yeah.
Well, it's the same thing with parenting and being a dad, that we're not perfect. And we talked about this. There's so many resources out there now for moms, but very little for dads.
Okay.
Very little. And there's often, we have to be like your grandfather was and just grit our teeth and not say a fucking word. And that's not okay for everybody. That's not okay. It's okay to say, I'm not perfect. I don't
Sure.
feel good. I'm not on right now. I'm off. I've been off for a while. I'm stressed about my relationship with my wife, money, whatever it is. And I don't have anybody to talk to, yet I have to put on this facade to my kids that everything's okay. Like when I lost my mom 2 years ago, and when that happened, my kids saw me bawl all the time, and they hugged me. I wanted them to see, like, I didn't excuse myself. I wanted them to see me processing my feelings.
Yeah. I've heard that.
That's okay.
I've heard that. You've articulated and expressed it, but I see therapy like chiropractors. I think it's all a fraud. I think you're just making noises pop, right? I think the chiropractor ensures that you always have to come back to the chiropractor. He gets paid. If he fixes your back, you don't come back. And I feel like therapists get paid as long as you come back. So it's like, hey, we'll be continuing these sessions for how long? Forever. You're always going to be damaged. It's like, okay, well, to me, that's not a solution. I'm a fucking black and white person. I want a solution to my problem. And if you don't have a solution to my problem, I'm just going to eat it. I'm just going to bury it deep down until one day I explode in a bar and punch a guy in the face and go to jail. And then I'll learn my lesson then the hard way.
With therapists, and I think that there is a grift with therapy. I agree with you.
I think it's a total grift.
However, like there's a woman here, Barb, and she's like trauma therapy. Like she worked with Navy SEALs.
Those people are great. Those people are great.
She's the first therapist I've ever gone to, and she's here in Vegas.
Yeah.
First one I ever went to that actually like fixed and she told me, like I'm here to fix you. So what is it you're feeling? Okay, come back one more time. Are you good?
Yeah.
Read this book, listen to this, do this. Get out of here. I don't want to see you again. Or come back when you're having another like bad time.
Yeah.
Awesome. But most therapists, you're right. I do agree with you that most therapists, I mean, there's got to be some type of revenue there. If it doesn't make dollars, it doesn't make sense. So
I see it similar to like all medicine and healthcare in the West. Are there good doctors out there? Fuck yeah, dude. Anybody who's willing to spend that many years of their life being broke and taking out massive loans to make sure that I feel better, there's good doctors out there, right? But the same thing with therapy is with healthcare, where it's like, okay, how much of this is because you actually give a shit and how much of it is profit? And have we crossed over to the point where it's too much about profit and not much about healthcare? If you're dealing with Navy SEALs and veterans who've experienced real trauma, if you're dealing with kids who have seen things no child should ever have to live through, those aren't the therapists that I'm calling a bit grifty. Those people have genuinely experienced some real trauma and they need somebody to talk to. They need somebody to help them come up with those feelings. It's the people who are like, I'm depressed because it's Tuesday and I look fat in these sweatpants. And it's like, I don't know, man. I think some of you are just mentally weak. Like, I think some of you are just, in the words of David Goggins, I think you're just a bitch, right? And I don't mean bitching's like, oh, you're a girl. I don't mean that in that way. I mean, like, I just think you're a little soft.
It's your inner bitch.
I just think you're a bitch.
Yeah.
I don't think you need a therapist. I think you need to be tougher, right? And I know I sound like such a caveman when I say that, but
you're okay.
I think it's the best answer. I think sometimes the simplest, most obvious answer is the right answer. I don't think every answer has to be complicated. I think sometimes David Goggins is right.
No.
You're just a bitch. You're just a bitch. And I don't think it's more complicated than that. You know?
What do you think, and this is just to kind of recap on stuff, what do you think the biggest challenge is for a dad today?
That masculinity is frowned upon. You know, there's a million people online telling you what a real man is. Oh, if I wear a dress, I'm a real man. If I do this, I'm a real man. Everybody wants to tell you what a real man is. 60% of kids in America grow up without fathers. What the fuck do any of these people know about what a real man looks like? Your mother never had sex with one, right? I'm just being flat out truth. If he was a real man, he'd still be there. So that's the biggest challenge is like, you're a little boy, you grow up, you want to be a father, but dads aren't the one giving advice to dads. That's the biggest challenge. Dads aren't giving advice to dads. These young boys aren't getting advice from fathers. They're getting advice from women. They're getting advice from single people. They're getting advice from politicians and Andrew Tate. They're getting advice from people who aren't fathers and dads on how to be a dad. And I think it's a job, as you said already, has no instruction manual. So imagine having no instruction manual, but getting a bunch of shitty advice thrown your way. Who do you believe? What do you believe? And I think that's part of the reason I wanted to start having this conversation with you. We're both flawed people. I'm going to get ripped apart for what I said about therapy. Does that make me a worse dad? No. If you talk to my kid, would you know how I feel about mental health? No. She's doing great. I talk to your kids. They're doing great, right? Our flaws, what people might perceive as our flaws, don't translate to our kids, right? And so I think the biggest challenge is for young men to understand you can be a flawed person and still be a world-class A1 father. And nobody's telling them that. But Jeff and I are going to fucking tell these people that, right? To anybody watching, to any dad watching, if you are giving everything to your kid, I don't care how much of a flawed person you are. I don't care what's going on in your life. I don't care. You're a great dad if you give a shit and you're giving them your all. So overcome that hurdle. Look at that. We just did it single-handedly right here.
I love it.
What about you?
I think it is making the investment in fatherhood, being focused enough to be a dad.
Yeah.
Men as dads don't do that. They take the easy way out, which is the phone, the television, a bar.
Yeah.
And
therapy.
Therapy. Almost said it. Another woman, their guy friends, golf.
Yeah.
Like there's all these different things that are work that are easily distractible things to take you away from spending time parenting your kids.
Yeah.
That is what I think is the greatest challenge that we have as fathers today.
Yeah. I think I should have brought that up when we talked about the phone thing. But what bothers me so much is like, dude, I barely have 5 seconds with my kid. She doesn't want to hang out with me. Dinner time is like, you're forced to hang out with me. This is my chance to shoot my shot, you know? But yeah, I apologize. I tend to, you ask really good questions, right?
Thank you.
And I want to give really good answers, but I tend to go on what my Instagram followers call these rants, where like, I want to solve the world's problems in one answer. So
you've nothing to apologize for.
Okay. I felt that a little long-winded there.
No,
okay.
You're fine. No, we're good, man. We're good.
In the back of my head, I feel like I have a running clock for answers, and sometimes I just ignore that motherfucker.
Hell, you're so fucking funny, dude. No, dude, this has been great. It's good. It is something that we're gonna keep doing. Comment if there's stuff you want us to talk about.
Yeah.
If there's stuff you want us to talk about, put it in the comments. We will bring it up. We'll answer questions. We're not perfect, but we're doing this as perfectly as we possibly can.
Yeah, 100%. I think that's the best motto for this show. We ain't perfect, but we're trying as perfectly as we can.
Yeah, I love it. Thanks, brother.
Thank you, man.